Hey y'all, I'm Zap. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a mage breakdown video for people. I've seen a lot of interest in sort of build videos and class specific build videos. So I'm just going to kind of go through my thoughts on sort of the typical mage breakdown, go over some of the stuff like your basic skills, maybe some of your rotations, some of the better combos to use in PvE, PvP. Not going to get into gear sets a lot because with all of the changes coming to early access and the different phases of the alphas and betas, a lot of the gear sets and gear choices are going to change quite a bit. So I'm not going to go too in depth with that. But this is more of just a basic intro into the mage class. So to start, I'm just going to go over your basic skills. It's pretty simple. I mean, mages are basically masters of the elements, so it's not like your WoW World of Warcraft mage where you're gonna spec into one element. Ashes of Creation mage is more about using all the different elements, comboing all of your skills together, and trying to maximize your DPS and damage from that. So just basic starters. I mean, on your bottom row, you've got your classic Firebolt or Fireball. You have the choice to pick between either. Personally, I believe Firebolt is the best option. Fireball is more of just a one cast or a one fireball that does a lot of damage and applies a lot of burn. It also applies stagger, which is really nice. But Fireball or Firebolt, it splits it so it gives you 3 instant cast firebolts, and it just gives you a lot more damage pressure. And overall, it ends up being more DPS versus Fireball. Bombardment is kind of the augment to your Fireball or Firebolt. You basically always take this for Firebolt. It's just a straight 25% increase on each bolt. And this applies the stagger. Second row here is Lightning Strike. It is a single target ability that can either be held or quick cast. The longer you hold it, the more damage you're going to get out of it. And there is a way to augment that so you automatically get the max damage out of it with an instant cast using your blink, but that's a skill you get a little bit later. It also applies Shocked to your target. And Shocked is one of the more important status effects for mages. Just basically increases, or it adds an additional damage to every time anybody hits the target with Shocked. So the more times you can apply Shock, the better, the more damage you're going to get. The augment to Lightning Strike is Amplified Lightning Strike. It just allows you to stack 10 additional stacks of the shock debuff, so you always want to have that. Additionally, if you full charge it with amplified strikes, it will make it an AoE ability, so anybody standing near the main target also gets hit with the damage. Frostbolt, it's your basic Frostbolt. It's a short cast. It'll chill your target. Really good for kiting and CC stuff. Also 250% damage of your magic power. Really good damage there. Basically a mainstay of any mage in any MMO. The augment, Shattering Shards, really amazing. It basically takes your Frostbolt if you hit a shocked target, and after you get the initial damage, it will splinter, and the frost shards will spread and deal an additional 150% damage to 3 additional enemies, and also apply chill to those enemies. So it's just a really good ability. And you'll kind of see going through all these skills that each one of your elemental skills, they really play off of each other. So for your combos, using things like Lightning Strike first into a Frostbolt, so that you can get the Shattering Shards to deal more damage. Things like that are really common throughout the entire skill tree of Mage. Next ability, Combust. It's an instant cast, so I mean any instant cast damage is really good. But additionally, if the target is already burning, it applies conflagration, which takes all of the burning damage and basically turns it into an accelerated damage over time debuff that takes the more time on the debuff. So if I have, 4 seconds of burning versus 20 seconds of burning, if I use combust on a target with 20 seconds of burning, it will convert that additional time into more damage. So whenever you use combust, you want to try to stack as much burning on the target as possible. Other ability, Cone of Cold. It's basically the same thing as Cone of Cold from Mage. It's almost an instant cast. There is a small cast time on it, but basically it does like an AoE blast in front of you, something like that. It has a pretty good range, a pretty good vortex, and what that does is it applies frozen to any target that is already chilled from something like your Frostbolt or your Hoarfrost. Frozen is great because it makes it so your enemy can't move and they can't rotate. So that's really important because some classes have abilities that you have to actually be looking at your target in order to attack them. And if they can't rotate and you freeze them and get behind them, they basically can't attack you. So Cone of Cold, really important ability in your rotation. Next one, Shell. It's your basic barrier. It's very short cast time. 45-second cooldown. It basically takes your magic power, multiplies it by 500%, and gives you a magic barrier that absorbs all damage incoming until it is either broken or it lasts 8 seconds. It's your basic run-of-the-mill ability, defensive ability. And you got Blink, pretty standard. It instantly teleports you in the place your direction or in the direction that you are facing. It also breaks all rooting effects. So like if you get frozen, for example, or rooted by a ranger or snared, it breaks all those type of effects. It's really good. One thing to worry about with Blink is there is a cast time to it. So if you use it in a spot where somebody is like in range to interrupt you, they can actually interrupt your Blink cast, and it's really painful. Augments to Blink, you definitely want to be getting both of these. First one is it breaks all disabling effects on your character. That includes silences, stuns, trips, anything like that. So that's your CC break as a mage. Really important skill to use properly. And then you get Accelerative Blink, which is more of an offensive side to Blink. Basically, it makes your next Firebolt, Frostbolt, or Lightning Strike an instant cast within 3 seconds of casting Blink. One thing that's not really said in any of the tooltips here, but if you blink with Accelerative Blink and you cast a Lightning Strike, it will instantly cast for the full, like if you had charged your Lightning Strike up to the full length, so you'll get the 300% Lightning Strike damage and full stacks of shocked. So that's really important to remember. Slumber, it's your AoE sleep. Basically, it's a super long cast time, so it's an ability that you really want to kind of save for when you see groups of things, or if somebody has a very long cast timer on an ability and you're trying to stop it. It puts incapacitated on all enemies in a 5-meter radius, so it's not a super big radius. But if you read incapacitated, it says they cannot move or act, so it's basically a full CC. The only downside to this is the effect will break on any damage taken at all, whether it be an auto attack or fall damage or one tick of any dot will instantly break the sleep. So you have to be really mindful when you're using that. Enchant Weapon, it's basically a buff that you can put on one of your allies, which will take whatever elemental empowerment you have. So whenever you cast an ability, a mage will get an elemental empowerment based on which element they used. So right now I have the ice elemental empowerment. So if you cast weapon enchant on friendly target while you have the ice, it basically just gives them this elemental empowerment. And depending on the class who you're enchanting with, they may want different things. Your highest damage output is going to be the fire enchant. So let's just cast a fire ability real quick. We'll get the fire thing. So it will any weapon combo finishers for those people, or for whoever has the enchant, it basically applies a burning of 100% on up to 3 targets, and it's really, really strong. So most people for single target, like your rangers, bards, will usually want the fire enchant. Some people like the lightning if it's in a PvP scenario, because that puts volatile on targets, which decreases magic resistance, and it also chains, so it just gets a little bit more AoE damage. Next ability, Orfrost. This is a very, very strong ability. It's an instant cast, basically instant cast way to apply chilled in an AoE. So this is like, the AoE is pretty big. You can cast it from a really long ways away, and it's basically instant cast. It's pretty standard ability, just an AoE. It's basically like an AoE Frostbolt almost. So it's really strong. Shatter. So Shatter is a passive ability. Very, very important ability in a mage's toolkit. It is probably one of your strongest combo pieces. What Shatter does is, if you deal any lightning damage, so this could be lightning ball, chain lightning, shocked, lightning strike, any lightning damage to a frozen target, it will deal a lot of damage, 225% damage to that target on top of the lightning damage already. So if you use a full lightning strike on somebody for 300% damage and they're frozen, you will add an additional 225% damage on top of that. So it's insanely strong. Really, really important combo piece in every mage's skill set. And yeah, it's just insanely strong, especially if you were able to get multiple people frozen at the same time with like an Orfrost Cone of Cold combo, and then hit him with a chain lightning and trigger multiple instances of Shatter on single spell cast. It can be a lot of outgoing damage. The next, Tempestuous Cone of Cold, is basically an augment to the Cone of Cold spell. So it doesn't say it on the tooltip, but not only does this add a pushback to your Cone of Cold, it also adds a spell interrupt. So if somebody is casting and you have this, which every mage should have, Tempestuous Cone of Cold slotted, it will interrupt any spell cast that's going out. So very important, really important to keep an eye on spell casts so that you can interrupt with your Cone of Cold. Moving up to the next tier, Chain Lightning. Great ability. It's your basic Chain Lightning from pretty much every other MMO. It deals a lot of damage, 225% lightning damage to any target. Also applies 10 stacks of Shocked to any targets that are already affected by Volatile. So if you remember, your Lightning enchant can apply... Let me just throw it out here real quick. Your Lightning and Weapon enchant, so your weapon combo finishers can apply Volatile. And the next ability we're getting to, Ball Lightning, which is really cool ability. They've kind of nerfed it a little bit recently, but it basically it throws like a slow ball out that basically pulses out damage, and each tick applies Volatile. So that's a really, really good AoE ability. You do have to watch out in PvE about accidentally pulling with that ability. A certain person has a pretty good video out there about when to not Ball Lightning in Carfen Tower, so just remember to keep an eye out for that. Next ability, Magma Field. Alright, so the next ability is Magma Field. It's really strong, but it's kind of hard to use in PvP because it's a slower cast time, and it's not an ability that you can target a specific person. You just target an area. But if there's a lot of people in one spot, or you have a stun target, it's a really good way to throw out a lot of burning on people and to get a just apply some like good fire damage out on people. The only problem is people can just kind of move out of it, but it automatically, on like if somebody's standing on it, as soon as you cast it, it instantly adds ticks of burning. So it's still a pretty good ability. So up into your top tier skills here, Pyromania, basically just an augment to your Magma Field. I suggest taking this anytime you're going to be running Magma Field because it just makes your Magma Field cast faster, a lot faster, and tick an additional 2 times. So if you look right now, my cast time on Magma Field is 1 second cast time, which is actually faster cast time than Frostbolt. But if you take this ability off, it doubles the cast time. So this is an insane augment. Definitely have to have that. Fuse. This is where like this top tier is where you start getting into your more like combo specific abilities though. Fuse is your next one. So your applied burning statuses are 50% more powerful when you apply them to a target with Shocked. If you remember, Lightning Strike adds Shocked. Chain Lightning adds shocks to targets that are afflicted with Volatile. So this is really strong if you make sure to wait until a target has the proper debuffs from Shocked to maybe throw out your Firebolt or to throw out your Magma Field. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Next ability, Arcane Circle. So this ability is kind of wish-washy for me. It's very strong because it increases your magic power while you're standing in it. I don't know if it actually shows up on your character sheet. Let's check real quick. So right now, my magic power is 313. Let's throw down an Arcane Circle. Basically, it gives you a 20% boost to your magic power stats. So it's really good. The only issue with it is it doesn't last very long, and it's a very small circle to stand in. So it doesn't have a lot of use in PvP, outside of a few fringe cases where you're able to set up a stun or you're playing in groups where you're not being targeted strongly. One thing that I've seen some people utilize in PvP is to start out a fight with casting Arcane Circle, and while you're standing in your Arcane Circle, you can then cast your Shell, which will basically give you a 20% boost to your Shell, and you can kind of use that Shell and boosted Shell as like a small HP buffer while also trying to get a little bit of extra damage out. Next is Prismatic Beam. So Prismatic Beam is, a lot of people use it in PvP as a finisher. I've found in smaller scale PvP, I like to use it to set up combos a little bit more. So basically what it does is it takes whatever elemental empowerment you have, and it augments the beam to do different things. So one thing that a lot of people don't know about Prismatic Beam is if you don't actually have an elemental empowerment up, it gives you an arcane empowerment, which it's just a mana drain. It's not very strong right now, and it doesn't do a lot of extra damage. Very fringe use right now. Maybe at some point they'll change it to where the mana drain is much better. We'll see. But if you have your lightning enchant, basically it adds a 33% chance for each hit of Prismatic Beam to AoE a little bit, dealing a little bit more damage, and it will apply Volatile, so it's another way to stack Volatile. An ice enchant, it just applies Chilled to every target hit, so another way to set up Chilled. If you don't have Aura Frost available, but you do have Arcane Beam, you can try to use that to like AoE chill a bunch of targets to try to set up a shatter combo. And then if you have the fire enchant, it applies burning for 25% fire damage per hit. It's a really, really, really good way to stack burning on a target. In PvP, that's what I have found to be the best case use for, in small scale anyways, the fire is the best case use for your prismatic beam to stack up a lot of burn stacks very quickly so that you can throw a combust on people with max burn stacks to get the most damage out of it. On top of the beam just generally dealing 50% damage per tick, and it also looks really, really cool. The next ability, Blizzard. I'm going to be honest, I think Blizzard is probably the worst skill for Mage in the game right now. I can just show you why. Basically, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage to individual targets. It's more of like an AoE that you have to channel, and each shard of the Blizzard comes down, deals a little bit of damage, and it will also apply frozen to targets that are already chilled. So it, on paper, it seems really, really strong. The only issue with it is, one, it's a channeled ability. Two, it doesn't do a lot of damage. Three, long cooldown. Four, it's very, very easy to interrupt. So I'm just going to cast it and kind of show you what I'm talking about here. You move very, very slow with it, and it's not that big of an area of an effect. And the fact that, you know, we're playing Mage, you're kind of a squishy target, and if you cast Blizzard, people are going to look at you, and they're going to basically instantly target you. I try to stay away from it in PvP, and in PvE, it just doesn't do enough damage to really warrant the cooldown on it. Fringe case uses for it, though, it is very, very strong against vehicles like boats and caravans. So if you're out in the ocean fighting on boats while doing sport fishing, or you're chasing down caravans, it is a very good ability to use then. Other than that, kind of stay away from Blizzard. Next, we have a couple of augmented abilities. Thermal Equilibrium. So this one I think is a little bit slept on because it's kind of hard to combo off. Basically, whenever you apply Frozen to a target, it refreshes the duration of your conflagration from Combust. So Combust being only about a 4 to 5 second debuff. When you have Thermal Equilibrium, it's really good to, if you're going to try to use Combust on somebody, make sure that you kind of have a way to hit them with a Frozen immediately after, so you can get 3 to 4 seconds of that really high damage Combust, hit them with the Frozen, and then you can reset that cooldown. I think this is a really, really good ability that kind of gets a little bit slept on because it's hard to combo with. Next and last ability, Aftershock. On paper, this is really, really good. So basically, if your primary target of Chain Lightning is staggered, which we apply staggered with our Firebolt, and a lot of people apply staggered, like your tanks and your fighters, if they're getting in close, are probably applying staggered a lot with their abilities. It will make your Chain Lightning will hit your primary target and up to 5 additional enemies for a second time for 125% Chain Lightning. So basically, it takes your Chain Lightning, hits somebody with staggered, and then it should chain again and deal another 125% lightning damage. Now, the only problem with that is this ability is bugged currently, and it just doesn't work right now. Hopefully it gets fixed soon, because that's a really, really strong ability that just isn't currently working. So for my like PvE or PvP skill setup, this is what I would usually go for at level 25. If I'm in group PvP, I might take Aftershock off and Slumber off and maybe throw Enchant Weapon on. And maybe use Arcane Circle, maybe use Aftershock because sometimes it does work, and when it does work, it's really strong. So basically your choices are between maybe Arcane Circle, Blizzard, Slumber, and Enchant Weapon. In PvP where I have friends, I go with Enchant Weapon. If I'm out solo, I'll use Slumber instead. So now I kind of want to go into some of like your basic combos. I mean, the most simple one, we're going to just show you Shatter. So there's multiple ways to set up Shatter, which is basically you want to freeze your target, hit him with lightning damage. Pretty simple, two-step process. We love it. Short and sweet way, you can use Orfrost into a Cone of Cold. That'll hit him with Frozen. And then you hit him with a Lightning Strike, and it'll shatter for that additional damage. One thing to kind of remember is as long as you start your Lightning Strike cast while the target still has at least 1 second left on their Frozen debuff, even if the Frozen debuff falls off, it kind of snapshots the buff and you will get the Shatter proc off of it. There's a few additional ways you can trigger Shattered with Blizzard, but again, I just don't think Blizzard is that strong. So that's Shatter is basically every mage's kind of bread and butter. It's just an absolutely crazy combo that deals a lot of damage. Now there's a little bit of a slept on part of the mage kit. I think that the Firebolt Firebolt and stacking your burn damage to get a good combust conflagration and then a reset is a way higher damage output than Shatter combo on a single target. I think your Shatter combo is a lot better for AoE targets. So I can just kind of show you what I'm talking about here. Basically what you want to do is you want to hit your target with Firebolts to one, deal a lot of direct damage, also apply stagger, then hit them with either a Magma Field or I like to use Prismatic Beam on the bear to get a couple auto attacks with the Flame Empowerment. We'll also stack a little bit of burn. Hit him with that. And now we have a full stack, and you can just watch the yellow damage ticking for 185, 185 every time. We're going to hit him with a full Lightning Strike, 3 Fireballs, Beam, Combust, and then you would go Orfrost into a Cone of Cold, just to kind of stack more damage. Really, really strong combo. It's probably the most single target damage you can get on anything with the Mage kit right now. So there's a couple other fun little things you can use in the Mage kit. One I like to call Blink Strike. Basically, you're using your Blink ability and the Accelerative Blink to instant cast a full charge Lightning Strike, and it's a lot of damage and it's really fast, especially if you start off with, say, an Orfrost, Cone of Cold for the Frozen, Blink, Turn, and Lightning Strike. It gives you an instant cast Shatter combo on your Lightning Strike. So that's a really, really good way to just put out a lot of damage really, really quickly. There's other really fun things you can do with Blink combo. Of kind of a quick way to trigger shattering shards, which is, remember, if you hit a shock target with Frostbolt, it just adds a little bit more additional damage. So we'll just hit him with shocked real quick, blink, Frostbolt, and then you see all that damage pop up from the shattering shards. This one of the reasons why I really, really enjoy the Mage gameplay is because there's just so many different combinations you can use to just throw out a lot of damage really quickly. And so next I'm going to kind of go over a couple of fights just that I've had, and I've recorded like 1v1s, and just kind of talk over exactly what I'm doing here. So here I'm fighting a rogue. Rogues are really hard to kind of manage as a mage, but I'm doing my best here. As you can see, I kind of hit him with the fireball and conflagration just to stack a little bit of damage. Rogue hits me with a bunch of CC, and then I cast Shell to get out of it. Here you can see the rogue is vanished, So I have no idea where he's at right now. So I kind of threw out the lightning ball here to try and hit him with some damage and break him out of stealth. I also threw the magma field down just so that if the rogue decided to jump on me, I would get a little bit more damage in there. So now we're just kind of waiting for him to pop out of stealth. You know, rogues are annoying to fight. He pops out of stealth here, and I instantly hit him with some more fire bolts just to try to stack. Here you see I'm casting a slumber. So this is in a 1v1 duel tournament. I'm trying to cast the slumber just to like make him reset a little bit, just to get him off my back. It didn't work very well. I did get the cast out, but my burning stack instantly got him out of the slumber, out of the incapacitate. So now I kind of see an opening. He's at 75% HP. I've already got some burn stacks going, so I try to throw out a prismatic beam to stack burn as high as I can and hit him with a combust. And you see he's after that prismatic beam and that combust, he's already at 50% HP. At this point, I have my blink up, I have my Orfrost, I have my Cone of Cold, I have all of my abilities up right now. So with him at 50% HP, all of my cooldowns up, I'm going to try to look for an opening here to maybe hit him with a blink and lightning strike. Unfortunately, he was able to interrupt my blink mid-cast, and it just had a weird interaction in this fight where I actually got the cast off to where I was able to get away from him, but because of the stun, it stunned me at the end of the blink, so it put me in an odd spot where I wasn't able to cast immediately. So here I'm kind of frustrated, but I still see he's at half HP. I hit him with a lightning strike, Cone of Cold, or Frost. So you can see he's got burning stacks, he's staggered, shocked, and volatile. He's also frozen, so I start up a chain lightning cast, trying to trigger a shatter. You can see the chain lightning hits on the side there for 400, 400. So that's the chain lightning and the shatter combo. And at this point, he's at 25% HP, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to cast any abilities that I have to try to finish it. Because we're in a duel here, he didn't die, but I ended up winning that fight. Did pretty well on that one. I was pretty proud of that fight. So next one here is me versus a ranger. It's a little bit of a different play style. I play a little bit more aggressive against rangers because I think getting ahead against some of the other DPS classes is really important. Again, this fight is not on PTR, so this is in the phase 3 time to kill where things are a little bit faster. It's more damage oriented and not so much like sustain, and it's more about pure damage. I think in this fight here, it's a really, really good example of why like the blink lightning strike combo is really good. So fight starts. I hit him with a frostbolt to start and just a couple auto attacks. So I stack frozen. So with my frostbolt and my auto attacks, I've already done 25% of his HP. I see that he's going for a vine field. So I use that opportunity to blink away from where he's looking so that he can't hit me with the CC of Vine Field. I hit the blink, and you can see I instant cast a massive lightning strike right on top of him. He's got the frozen debuff, so this is going to hit for so much damage. If you see it, I hit him for 670, so I hit him for 1100 damage in just one second. So for most people in phase 2, that's about 25% of their HP or more in one ability. After that, I'm so far ahead that I just cast a couple of frostbolt or firebolts. I hit a quick shell while I'm moving towards him because you can instant cast shell while you're moving. So this just assures that I'm not going to get hit with any snipes or anything like that, and just kind of going for the kill. Set up an instant cast or frost right on top of him, and that should be enough to finish. Oops, I don't know what happened there, but we'll skip to the end here. Yeah, or frost finished kill. Next one here. So this is another just example of how much damage you can do as a mage so quickly. I'm playing extremely aggressive in this fight. I blink forward to get an instant cast lightning strike. Instant cast lightning strike hits for, you know, just crazy amounts of damage there. Hit him for almost 2k just from the lightning strike. And then I go for Frostbolt here, Shattering Shards, hits for another 800 damage. So 2 abilities already hit him for almost 2,000. Instantly get an Orfrost, Cone of Cold combo. I have him at 50% HP, and because he has the Shocked still on him, I'm going to try to hit him with some Frostbolts just to get the extra shock damage from these fireballs and just instant deletion. So this fight's a little bit different. I'm against a cleric, so you're gonna see a lot more utilization of like the combos here. This fight's about halfway in because it was just a long one. You see I've got him at half HP, so I'm really trying to push out as much damage as I possibly can here. He hits me with a stun. As you can see, the debuffs, he actually has diminishing returns on right now, so I can't freeze him. He does have 10 stacks of wound up from the longbow finisher. That means his healing is reduced by quite a bit, so we're in good shape there. Anytime you're fighting against a cleric, it's very important, or any class that can really heal, very important to stack wound and keep those wound stacks up because it just reduces healing by 50%. You'll never be able to kill a cleric if you don't have those wound stacks up. So I'm pushing out a bunch of damage. He gets really nice interrupt on my prismatic beam there. Kind of unfortunate. Kind of throw a lightning ball out just to kind of make him move instead of just being able to stand and cast. So now that his diminishing returns are gone, you can see I hit him with a freeze. I use a Frostbolt into a 3 finishers. So the other thing about your elemental empowerment is if you cast a Frostbolt and you get a weapon finisher with an ice elemental empowerment, it will actually reset the cooldown of your main element. So if you happen to have ice empowerment, it'll reset the cooldown of your Frostbolt. If you have lightning empowerment, it'll reset the cooldown of your lightning strike, and it will give you 2 charges of firebolt or reset the cooldown of your fireball if you have the fire empowerment. So that's another thing to kind of keep track of. So I see I hit him with frozen. I do have a lightning strike available, so I am going to blink strike that with a Frostbolt and get a shatter. We're going to go with more fireballs and chain lightning. He has CC immune right now again, so now I'm just kind of stack as much damage as I possibly can. Big crit with a lightning strike, full charge, so he's got a bunch of stacks here. Hopefully I'm smart enough to pay attention to that and hit him with a Frostbolt here. I am not. I kind of failed there. There's the Frostbolt coming. Hit him with a big crit on the Frostbolt. And now I think I was holding on to my... I was holding on to my Cone of Cold here, waiting for him to cast a Judgment so I could interrupt the cast. So I instantly see the Judgment cast come out, interrupt it, hit him with a freeze, lightning strike, and then I just blow my entire kit, use every single spell that I have to get the kill. Long and short of it, I think Mage is just a really fun PvP class. There's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different ways you can fight. You can play the aggressive side, you can play the more patient side and set up your combos. But there's a lot of like nuance to the Mage kit, and you know, just getting as much experience as you can with how all of your spells work in conjunction with each other. That's going to be your best way to like improve as a mage in PvP, because it is just a really fun class to play and can be really strong if you're piloting it correct. So yeah, that's kind of my Mage breakdown. Hopefully you were able to learn something new. Hopefully this helped you out a lot. I'll be continuing to post as much, you know, YouTube content and Twitch content about Mage in the coming weeks, especially with the early access coming up. So I'd really appreciate it if you haven't already. Give this video a like, subscribe, and yeah, keep coming back. I appreciate it.